All right, we'll go ahead and get started. I know that a lot of you have been here for a little bit waiting. So tonight we're going to have a short presentation about the Emergency Services merger, and then we will proceed with a regular town hall format. 3 of our board members are here to be able to answer questions. We also have a couple of staff here to answer questions. So I am Sarah Fulton. I'm the Strategic Director for Pender County. And so I'm going to go through just a little bit about our Emergency Services merger. So I'm just going to cover a little bit about what Emergency Services looks like, what a merger is, how we got where we are, and what all of this means for first responders and for you. So the county is responsible for providing a lot of services, whether that's law enforcement, fire, or EMS. So right now, the county already provides law enforcement in form of the sheriff's office. That also includes 911, emergency management, and the fire marshal's office. The towns also provide law enforcement through the municipal police departments. And then EMS is provided by Pender EMS and Fire, as well as Union Rescue. Union Rescue has one station in the Willard area. Pender EMS and Fire provides EMS for the other stations around the county. And then our fire departments, we have a mix. We have our municipal departments. So we have Surf City, Topsail Beach, Burgaw, Atkinson. Then we have our nonprofit departments. We have Pender EMS and Fire, Pender Lee, Maple Hill, Rocky Point. North Carolina Forestry also provides some services. So all of these services are funded through tax dollars, some grants, but mostly tax dollars in some form. So those county services I mentioned, the sheriff's office, 911, emergency management, fire marshal's office, those are funded through your annual property tax in all of our taxing methods. And then we have EMS is provided through the EMS tax, which is a 9.25 cent countywide. And then we have fire tax districts. So each district has a different tax rate that those rates vary. And then we are also providing additional funding through the annual budget out of the general fund. So what is a merger? So a merger is when 2 or more organizations agree to move forward with a shared vision to create a single organization. So in this case, we're talking about Pender County, Pender EMS and Fire, and Pender Lee Fire. A lot of people have asked how we got here. Although this seems like a new conversation to some, this has been a conversation that has come up many times over the last 10, 15 years. And there's a couple of reasons that this has come up. One is the transition from volunteer to paid staff. That's not just Pender County, that's statewide and nationwide. There's a lot of reasons that there's been a transition from a full volunteer service to a paid service in fire and EMS. And some of that is due to people move farther away from home. They're not growing up right next to their community fire department where they lived as they were growing up. Some people are working away from home, right? We have a lot of people that live in Pender County. They work in other counties. And so they can't come back to answer fire calls at their local department. And so this has kind of led to needing paid staff during normal operating business hours, Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. So that's kind of where the paid coverage started, and that's kind of expanded. So there's also a lot of certifications, specialties, hazmat, heavy rescue, confined space, all of these things that people are expecting in a traditionally rural area, but that these are services that urban areas often see. But all of these extra specialties and certifications require more training hours. They require more hours on top of all of the hours that are required for volunteers to serve. And that is a very difficult thing when people are working far from home, when people have families at home. And so this has all kind of contributed to that transition from fully volunteer service. And so as we look at the fire tax was intended to support volunteer rural departments, and as we are paying for full paid staff, that's not necessarily the most financially sustainable in the way that we have it currently set up. And now Ms. Blue, who is our interim county manager and finance director, will cover more about that at the end because she knows way more about the math and the taxes than I do. So looking at the process of this merger, is we have staff from each agency involved in the decision making. So we do have county staff. We also have staff from Pender EMS and Fire, from Pender Lee, and there's also been staff from Maple Hill contributing. And then we have North Carolina Fire Chief Consulting that is helping us guide those conversations, make task lists, and look at all of the things that we need to do to make sure that this merger is a success. So they do have experience in smaller mergers with towns, and they also have done some studies related to fire and emergency services. They do also have staff on hand whose backgrounds are in EMS, so they can help guide those conversations as well. And then, of course, the boards for all of these agencies, the Board of County Commissioners, the Board for Pender EMS and Fire, for Pender Lee, they are who has the final approving authority for all of these decisions and for the final legal agreement. So looking at this process, we have agreed on a shared vision in that memorandum of understanding. The Board of County Commissioners approved that in September. And that's just we are looking at creating a emergency services department that is under operation of the county. We don't want to reduce service delivery. We want everyone to continue getting the excellent service that they have been getting. So we're setting up task lists and work groups to work through all of these things. There are a ton of things that need to be done. There's a ton of HR items talking about personnel, benefits, payroll, finance things with insurance, deeds, titles, leases transferring over, IT for who has access to what software. We're looking at timekeeping software that is better for shift schedules and rosters. There's a lot of facilities and fleet items. Obviously, this would include the addition of a lot of buildings, a lot of apparatus, and a lot of equipment. Then there's going to be work groups for fire and EMS operations, special operations, training, and volunteers. So we have a lot of people that are either already working on this or going to be working on this as we work towards the final merger date. So that final merger agreement will be the actual legally binding document that includes all of the guarantees for transferring assets, for benefits for staff, closing out organizations, and all of those fun legal things. Implementation. So July 1, 2026 is the goal date for the merger, and I do have a timeline on the next slide that I'll touch on. But everything doesn't stop July 1, 2026. There's a lot of work that is still going to need to continue after that, with a long-range plan for stations, staffing, training, ongoing meetings with all of our public safety agencies to make sure that response is as smooth as possible. And there's also going to be things that the organizations involved need to do, sending out final payrolls, taxes, and all of those items. So again, looking at that timeline, obviously right now we are having our public town hall meetings. This is the 4th out of 5 town hall meetings that we've held across the county. We're going to be working on those task list items up and through June. We're going to look at having staff town halls in November and December. Staff have a lot of questions, and they deserve the opportunity to ask those questions from county personnel to be able to answer things about their benefits and about time accruals and all those types of things. And the reason we have not had those yet is because we wanted to be able to provide individual information to staff so that we can answer their questions. Then in the spring, we're looking at finalizing the merger agreement, having another round of town halls so that everyone can know what all of this means for them as we approve the final agreement. Then the effective date of the merger is July 1, 2026. That is when staff will become county employees. That is when the assets, as far as the buildings and the equipment, will transfer over so that we can continue to provide service. And then July 26, moving forward, all of those post-merger items that I mentioned about having a long-term plan for stations and staffing and all of those things. So there's been a lot of questions about how this will affect first responders. So for our full-time paid career staff, which are primarily Pender EMS and Fire staff, they will become county employees. We want to provide competitive pay and benefits based on surrounding agencies. We are currently evaluating all of the salary ranges and benefits in the counties and towns around us so that we can make sure that those are competitive. And we want to offer longevity for years of service to Pender County, because if someone has been an employee of Pender EMS and Fire for 10 or 15 years, that has been in service to the citizens of Pender County. As far as volunteers go, we want to keep all of our qualified volunteers. When I say qualified, I mean if they've had the appropriate training hours and certifications for fire or for EMS or swift water rescue, search and rescue, whatever it may be that they want to volunteer to do, as long as they have had the appropriate training and experience, we want to keep all of the volunteers that are willing to volunteer. We do need to work through determining the incentives or the role of various associations and how we reward people for volunteering. It's not, there's gear, there's training and things that different departments do different things for their volunteers. We want to make sure that that is equal across the county. So most people obviously want to know, how does this affect you? So there's a lot of pieces to this question. So some people have asked if their ISO rating will change. So the ISO rating is your insurance rating, and it's based on a lot of different factors for the fire department, the fire departments that will respond to your home or your business. And it's based on training and staffing and equipment. And so because we're not changing the service delivery model, we're not changing where stations are, we're not reducing staff, we're not changing the training model, nothing about the service delivery is intending to change. And so therefore we have talked to the state, the North Carolina Office of State Fire Marshal. They're not expecting any significant changes. And if there were any minor changes to the ISO ratings, that would not or should not impact the residential insurance rates. Some people have asked if their station that is near their house is still going to be there. If you have a fire station or an EMS station near your home, near your place of business, or that you drive by every day on your way to work, that station is still going to have staff responding from it, because right now we have no plans to change where any of the stations are or how many staff are responding from those stations. Service delivery in the future, what that's going to look like is we are looking at an emergency services department under the county. An emergency services department would have a director, and then there would be a fire division, an EMS division, emergency management, and then logistics and communications. There's a lot of different ways to set things up. We are looking at the emergency services structure because that means that there is one person over all of these divisions that actually has a background in emergency services or public safety for these divisions to report to and to work with, and hopefully to improve collaboration. Moving forward, information will be shared through regular Board of County Commissioner updates. I've given a few updates over the last few months, and we will continue to do that as we move through the process. We also, on our county website, we have a web page for the emergency services merger. Right now, there's some frequently asked questions on there. I will be updating that after we finish all of these town hall meetings to add some additional questions that people had, to add some documentation that people requested. And as we get more questions, as we get more information, we will continue to update that web page. And that is on our county website, and it's under Government and Emergency Services tab. And then, of course, we have social media and news for any big changes, any big updates that we would want to share. So the last question that I'm going to cover before I'll turn things over to Ms. Blue is, a lot of people have questions about the cost and the taxes associated with the merger. I keep having to check and make sure I'm on the right slide because I cannot see from here. So I realize that you may not be able to read all of that font on that slide. I just want to cover some of the costs that we have identified so far. So when we're looking at the costs for the merger, the largest increase or the largest cost that we see, of course, is salary and benefits. Some of that is due to the intended increase in salaries so that we can stay competitive with counties around us, and some of that is due to the increase in retirement and benefits. So the county has the local government retirement system, which requires us to contribute just under 15% to employees' retirement system. So that is a significant increase compared to what is currently being paid. So right now the estimate for that is about $1.5 million just for the retirement and benefits per year. That is a recurring cost. And that is based on the current number of positions. As far as debts and liabilities go, there's about $14.5 million that is already paid every year in the annual budget. That's not how much we're paying in the annual budget on debt. That's the amount of debt that exists, and we are making the payments on that for Pender EMS and Fire and for Pender Lee. And so this number although that $14.5 million will become the county's debt, it is not adding any new debt service because those payments are already being made each year. We look at asset costs. There's IT network equipment that is needed at each of the stations for the county network, for the key locks on the doors, the cameras, those types of things. The number that we have here, the $95,000, that is assuming that every single piece of equipment at every single station has to be replaced. It's unlikely that we have to replace every single piece of equipment because we should be able to use quite a bit of Pender EMS and Fire's equipment, but that is the estimate if we had to replace every single piece of equipment. There's also IT network software licensing, timekeeping software that's about $250,000 a year. And again, that will be offset by some of the licensing and such that will not have to be paid by the departments. That is just the total cost for the county a year. As far as operational costs, fire, EMS, special operations, training, all of that's already being paid for in the annual budget. So if we're not changing the service delivery model, we should not see significant increases in the operational budget above the normal, increase that you see for supplies and such each year. Legal costs, we have NC Fire Chief Consulting as our consultant, as I mentioned, that is helping us work through this process. And then we also have deeds and titles that will have to transfer quite a few deeds and titles over. As we look at capital, we are looking at a new fleet garage. So the county is in need of a fleet garage, as well as Pender EMS and Fire and the school system. So as we're looking at building a new fleet garage, this would be one garage as opposed to having to build 3 separate garages over the span of a few years. There's savings to be found in only having to have one piece of property, only having to do permitting and design one time, and to be able to share resources between the currently 3 separate facilities. So to summarize all of that up, as far as annual recurring costs, we would be looking at a little over $2 million more than the current budget for EMS and Fire per year. For one-time costs, we'd be looking at about $195,000 for those asset costs, and then an estimate of $15 million on that garage right now. That estimate is based off of another large warehouse that we had looked at. So that has not gone out for bid or anything like that yet, and we would need to go through the full design process on that. And of course, that would still have to be approved as an expenditure by the board. So I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Blue now, who is our interim county manager and our finance director, so she can more fully explain some of our costs, and then we will get to our questions and answers.
All right. So bear with me. First of all, I want to clarify that these spreadsheets are extremely large, but I've kind of condensed them down so they can fit on the screen. And I want to start by explaining the top chart here. It goes over the assets on the left and the debts on the right, understanding that some of those debts are not actually long-term debt. For instance, the accrued vacation is a liability on our balance sheet, but it's not considered debt for issuing debt purposes. If you take the assets minus the debt, you get the $986,000 number there. That would be the net. So to clarify, when we say we're adding debt, we're also adding assets that would offset that debt. Down at the bottom, what you see, one of the first town halls that we had, the question was, our fund balance percentage that the LGC calculates or uses to compare us to other agencies. We're at 50%. That is available fund balance as compared to general fund expenditures and transfers out. And what I did here was I used our last fully audited year, which is 2024, and then I compared it to the 2026 budget for EMS and Fire. So that's actually a very conservative number because in 2025 we would present that number would increase. And then 2026 it would increase again. So this is as conservative as I could be with the information that I had. And that decreases the percentage about 6%, but again, that's very conservative. And our policy is 20%, so We like to keep that number pretty high just in case of any emergencies. You know, most of us remember Hurricane Florence, and we don't want to put ourselves in a bind in a situation like that. So I did all right doing that from memory. Okay, so this slide here is, it's very small, so you can't see it, but the point of this slide is that we have done some calculations based on salaries before and after, benefits before and after, for the employees directly. And then over to the right over here, you can see where we've done the math based on the blue is employee family for insurance, and the orange is employee only for insurance. So I picked the largest, most expensive plan and the cheapest plan just to kind of compare those two going forward to explain one of the benefits of doing this is for the first responders and so that their benefits can be competitive with surrounding counties and comparative to the county that they're serving already. So this chart shows our EMS and fire revenues. On your tax bill, you have a county tax rate, you have an EMS tax rate, and you have a fire district tax rate. You would see the districts listed over here on the left, the tax rates in the next column. The purple column is the value of a penny in each district. The green column is the revenue generated by that tax rate for that district based on the value that's in that district. So that's what we would call the EMS and fire tax revenues. EMS is the top line, the rest of them are fire districts. The orange column is the general fund contribution and kind of the point of this slide. So at the very bottom, you can see that the total of the fire EMS or the fire tax is a little over $7 million. Excuse me. And at the bottom, you can see that the general fund total contribution from your county tax rate is $7.5 million. So the point here being, like Sarah said, these fire tax districts were originally created to fund volunteer fire departments. Once we start paying people, the expenses for these fire districts go up astronomically because as any organization, payroll is your highest expense. So what I want to point out is that even if you doubled all of these tax rates, which is not possible because they're capped at 15 cents by state statute, you could not possibly fund fire with a fire tax in Pender County. So our general fund contribution, right now our general fund tax rate generates about $1 million a penny. So 7.5 cents of our county tax rate is going to fund fire in addition to the $7 million that's already funding fire. So this is kind of where Sarah said the conversation comes up quite frequently, even if it's not publicized quite like this. This conversation starts every year during budget when we have to figure out what that orange column looks like for these fire districts. And then the far right column shows you the total. And then down here at the bottom left shows you the breakdown of the tax rates. The 9.38 cents is the average of the tax rates currently. And that is it for my spreadsheets. Like I said, there are spreadsheets on spreadsheets that go behind this. So if you have questions, by all means, please let me know. If you come up with questions later, let me know those too. But we're happy to answer any questions. And there will be, Sarah's going to do the logistics, but there's a microphone that Brandy is going to walk around with for questions. And there are 2 microphones here. Oh, there's Brandy. For commissioners to answer or whoever to answer. We also have some folks from Pender EMS and Fire. Thank you, Chief Graffius, for being here. And we will get started with our questions. If you want to do your little, spiel.
So you don't have to sign up to ask questions. We just ask that everyone is respectful. We may not be able to answer every single question. If we get a question that we cannot answer right now, we will do our best to get that answer, put that information on the webpage that I mentioned. We have some handheld microphones for our 3 commissioners that are here so they can come up here and have the handheld mics. And then we'll have Brandy Cobb, our communications director, will be coming around to the audience with a microphone so that everyone can hear everybody's question and answers, and also because we have our live stream going on and no one can hear anything if we're not using a microphone. So. Oh, yes. And if you're using the microphone, red is muted, green is on.
You'll stay by and help me with that. Hi, my name is Carolyn Justice. I live. My question's for Ms. Blue. I heard you say this the other night and thought, oh, I heard that wrong, but I see it again tonight. What does a state require a county to keep in reserve? What percentage of the budget?
So the state requires 8%. If you take the year divided by 12 months, that's 1 month, is where that 8% number comes from. However, if you're getting close to that 8%, the LGC is already at your door.
Sure, I know
Our
that.
policy is 20% at a minimum.
But you actually have 50% there.
Correct.
And why is that?
So that's a good question. During Hurricane Florence, our percentage was not quite as high as it is now. And Hurricane Florence cost us about $25 million.
That
And
you
that
got
is-
reimbursed for, right?
That is correct. It took about 6 years to get all of that money back. I think we're actually still waiting on our last check that should be coming anytime soon.
So what was the percentage that you needed to have covered that hurricane?
So the total cost was 25 million, but that's just Pender County's cost. There was also several million that was given to Pender EMS and Fire at the time to cover some of their costs, which was also reimbursed, but we upfronted it. There was about 5 million given to the schools from the county, which was again reimbursed, but we covered it up front. And so our percentage needed to be much higher than it was, because it took us several years to recover from that.
Did it need to be 50%?
Did it need to be 50%? That depends on the general fund budget. The general fund budget right now is about 110 million, and 50% of that is 55,000 or 55 million, excuse me. And so if we had 55 million and we had to spend 25 million, that only leaves us about $20 million. So,
For what, another emergency?
correct. If you have two, then, well, effectively, if you had two at the same time, you're still dealing with the first one, so it won't cost 25 each time.
The reason, let me tell you why I'm asking this question.
Sure,
and
absolutely.
I have no reason to be confrontational. Just because I'm a former county commissioner, it just
Absolutely.
intrigues me. Because we never had more than 20%, and we dealt with Hurricane Fran, Hurricane Floyd. We had some pretty big hurricanes.
Mm-hmm.
So, and 20% was adequate, and our budget was much smaller than yours is now. So, here's my question. When you get ready to do the budget next year, and you come up with what the total number is, you're going to take 50% of that, of what you got, and set it aside in this reserve. Am I right?
No, it won't set anything aside. That's basically 50, we keep 50% in equity of what our total budget is. Meaning that if not another dollar was collected, we could make it through half a year, effectively.
My point is this. If you didn't keep so much in reserve, and I've lived here 40 years, I know hurricanes, so I'm not foolish enough to not want to be prepared.
Sure.
But if you didn't keep so much in reserve, that money'd be over here being budgeted, wouldn't it?
Yes and no. The no part only comes in because it's been generated over years, so you can't budget operating expenses with your equity, but you can use it to do capital things, which we are doing. We are planning
Like
those
building
things.
a garage.
For instance, yes.
Okay.
Rather than financing it, yes.
Do you know any other counties that have 50% in their reserve?
Yes, there are many other counties that are at or above what we have. It really just depends on the size of the county and the size of their budget.
Interesting.
And
Because I
coastal
know-
counties, like one of the things that is considered in our bond rating for Moody's and for Fitch and S&P is that fund balance percentage, because they want to see that if they're going to buy our bonds, they want to know that if in the event of a hurricane,
Sure.
we can be prepared and still be able to pay their debt back.
I
So
just know that
it
the
is a factor.
state does frown on it being too high.
Sure.
And they're frowning because they're saying, you guys could be doing more stuff with your county with this money if you weren't hoarding, is such a bad word, hoarding this money.
I understand.
And so when I think about these expenses, I think, it would be helpful if it was, it's like, what do you base your collection rate on? What percent?
It has to be based on the previous year, and this year was 97.4.
And you have no control over that at all? Because we used to have control over that. We would decide at what point we wanted what percent.
You decided the collection rate?
What we want to set the collection rate as we figure the budget.
No, the collection rate is based on what we actually collected in the previous year.
Okay, and is it looking like it's going to be that good again this year?
Yes.
That's-
Yes,
that's good
it's
to know.
tracking with
Good to know.
previous years, yes.
So that was my only thing. When I saw that 50%, I thought, my God, I've never seen such a high
Sure.
reserve. But anyway, so that brings me to my real question. First of all, when this lady made her presentation, she twice said, this merger was based on a shared vision. I'd like to know shared with who?
I'm not
And
sure.
then that's not your question.
I'm the one to answer that question, but I do understand your question.
So then I'll ask somebody else the
Okay.
question.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Springer, when she keeps referring to shared vision, who was in the shared vision?
Yeah, it wasn't me. It wasn't me.
Hello.
I'm not so sure what you're talking about.
When she was explaining the merger and how you came to that decision,
Hello.
she said twice it was a shared vision to do this merger. Who was involved in the shared vision?
Emergency Service Director.
Just the director.
Structure. I'm sorry, what is it? You're the one that said it, I don't know.
The merger group that we have with all of the staff, when I said the shared vision, I meant the emergency services structure, where we as a group talked about the different ways that we were going to set it up, and then we took it to the board to say, is this the final structure that we're looking at
This
moving
was
forward
after,
towards?
though, the vote to do it.
Correct.
Okay. I thought you meant when the idea came up, it was a shared vision.
No, the memorandum of understanding and the goal towards the emergency services structure is what I meant when I said that.
Okay, I got it. This is just too fun to be here and you here and us to be able to ask all these questions. This is a minor question. I was watching your meeting last night in Surf City. It baffles me that the sound was so excellent online. I could hear every word everybody said. And Surf City's, percentage-wise, what's the size of Pender County compared to the size of Pender County? And you can't have a sound system that works that well. So we've come here to ask questions, and I'm asking that question.
I agree with you. We had to fight to get what we have here now. And Surf City has an excellent, they had an excellent sound system. We could hear everything.
Could your IT guy talk to those IT people?
Well, our IT guy presented a proposal for a quality sound system, and it kept getting cut down to what we have now. It was too expensive, according to the county, Bean County.
With a 50% fund balance. How much money is that 50% fund balance?
In 2024, it was $61 million.
$61 million. I wanted to say something when you were telling me that. It's interesting to me. I could be absolutely dead wrong, been wrong before. But this intrigues me. All those poor counties in western North Carolina that dealt with that tragedy. The federal government came in, the state government came in, everybody came in. How did those counties survive? You know they don't have that kind of money in a fund balance. How did they front the money?
That's a good question that I don't quite have an answer for. I do know that a bunch of our departmental folks went to help with response because our people are a little more used to it than theirs. And we got reimbursed from the state for doing that, not from those agencies. During Hurricane Florence, the agencies that came and helped us, Pender County paid directly. Like Gaston County came, there was a rescue squad from Boone that came.
Those people weren't just volunteering their time,
No, they sent us a bill.
because they did in Fran and Floyd.
Yeah, they sent us a bill and we got reimbursed for it, but it took several years to get reimbursed for that. But like I said, when we went to, or not we, I didn't go, but when some of our folks went, they did the paperwork in order to get reimbursed, and they turned that into the state, and the state wrote us a check back for their time. They did not, the mountain counties didn't pay us like we paid those counties when they came here. I think there were a lot of lessons learned, to be honest. And so the state has started taking over a lot of those transactions, not just for disaster response, but for the buyout programs and the elevation acquisition and relocation programs, the mitigation programs that happen after a storm, that we still have several projects going on. The state has taken on those as well.
So it should be better for us in the next event.
Yes,
So maybe we don't need 50%.
maybe.
Back to the sound system. Was it like astronomical? I mean, I could pass a hat and come up with some money. This is something, I don't need to tell you all this. I can tell by your age you know this. Communication is everything. And when a people feel like they're not being communicated with, it stirs a natural anger, a frustration.
Sure.
So anything you can do to lessen that and improve your relationship with your folks, I think the better off you would be.
I certainly appreciate that.
So how much do you think it was, Brad?
It was in excess of 300,000, wasn't it, Meg, for the complete audiovisual?
If you were to completely
system for both
overhaul,
here
yes.
And the county complex in Burgaw.
No, I'm talking about the sound system.
Yes,
That
that's
was-
the
that was-
Not
sound.
audio visual, not the visual, not all
Oh,
that's
just the
fine.
sound. Okay.
Just the
Well, so
sound.
Just the sound, I'm not sure what the breakout was, but to have the monitors and the screens to project and the cameras to show the people that were actually talking, it was, 300.
Yeah, and you already have that, Brad. You already have that.
Yes,
I'm just talking about the sound.
that, I have no idea.
Okay, will you try to find
I
out?
will, I'll ask our IT guy.
I talked to your IT guy. He was helping me get online.
Sure.
And I said, so you're the guy that handles the mics? He said, yeah. Nice guy, he was very helpful.
Yes.
And I said, can you do something about that sound? He said, oh, I don't know anything about that. So maybe you need to talk to somebody that knows something about sound and fix that. I haven't come here to cause anybody any heartburn. I've come here because I've been there and done that. And I know what worked for us. We had 10 of the most successful years in Pender County. And so I know a little bit how to do that. And I think this communication thing is the big downfall. Last question, I promise. Does this county have a system that can alert every citizen in the county that you have an email address for?
That we have an email address for, yes. It used to be Code Red, but it is not called that anymore. Nixle is the county's emergency
And
alert
is there
system.
a rule against using it for things other than emergencies? Oh, you're the communication.
So I was in emergency management at the time when we switched to that. So no, there's no rule that says we can't do it. However, if you send out a whole bunch of alerts that aren't the roads flooding or there's a hurricane, people tend to block them. And so we kind of try to balance how often we send those out. I think we do it for like the water main breaks and those kinds of things. There is a way to do it if someone just if a lot of people didn't sign up with their email address. So a lot of people put their phone number in, so it's only going to send it to their phone number. We can select like a non-emergency alert and it'll only send it to emails, but the vast majority of people who signed up did not put their emails in, so it's not going to reach a whole lot of people.
So when you're doing announcements, you can't send that by email to your citizens and say, these are our meetings this month, or whatever?
We can if they sign up for it, but it would require to be signed up for it.
Oh, well, I kind of assumed you couldn't send it to somebody. But
Right, but not many people are signed up with their emails is my point.
That might be something to look into, because a constant conversation at every meeting is, how come these people don't come? How come
Right.
they don't know? How come we don't get the message out? I was just thinking, maybe that's one
We
thing.
do have other communication tools, like we have a newsletter, we have
App.
an app.
But if I don't go on your website, I don't see the newsletter, do I?
No, if you sign up for the newsletter, we will send it to you.
Okay, so maybe on your email thing, you could say, please sign up for the newsletter and get that. I just think that's a whole area that's missing. When I was a commissioner, population was much less. It was easier to communicate. And I can see that with this explosion in population, it's hard. I just think that it's a flaw that you can fix or begin to fix. And that's all I'm looking for, is for a way for people. I can't tell you how many people say to me, I didn't know there was a meeting. I didn't know there was a town hall. Well, you know, they're busy on the soccer field and, you know, doing what they got to do. But if there was a way just to try a little harder to communicate. And then I'm going to ask the million-dollar question, and this is not meant to be confrontational. Do you still put notices of your stuff in the Pender Post?
I've never been responsible for that. I don't know how we advertise stuff.
Not currently, no.
Okay. Well, because I think they used to do some stuff free. I'm not talking about spending money. Do you still do stuff like that free? Announcements of meetings and stuff?
Very little after they get what they do.
Okay, okay. I'm just going to say, if there are, oh, you do send press releases. Well, very good. That's just good to know.
And if I may, if y'all are all right with that, I would like to address one of the questions that you brought up, because it's something that I brought up numerous times, as far as having fund balance percentage be so high. That's one of the reasons we've considered purchasing a lot more capital outlay items from our fund balance. People don't like to see that fund balance go down, because people feel like it means something's wrong, but it doesn't if it's intentional. So we have done that in recent years, where instead of trying to avoid increasing the tax rate, we will pull things that are capital or could be considered a project from our operating budget and pay for it with fund balance dollars. And we've been successful with that, especially with the parks projects, because, you know, they're not astronomical dollar amounts, but it's still a lot of money, right? And it's a benefit to the county. It's an amenity for the residents. So it's not something that you necessarily want to finance, but it's also something that is worth investing money into. So we have done a lot of that in the past couple of years. And I would expect to probably see more of that. When I got here, everybody was trying to cram all of the capital things into the operating budget. And the operating budget is really more for recurring things like salaries, like benefits, like subscriptions to things that happen every year. And that's why that percentage kept going up and up, because once we spent all that money down from Hurricane Florence and we started getting it back, we weren't using it. So we have tried to do that in the past couple of years. So I definitely appreciate and can understand where you're coming from. Yes?
You know what, in respect to Ms. Carolyn's questions and all, there's still a lot of your old, deep-rooted Pender County people that does not go on the internet, that does not have an email address, They don't give a rat's a about the phones either with it, and they want their newspaper, folks. They want that good old newspaper, home newspaper, to see the stuff in. You ain't gonna change them. They are who they are. And I totally, 100% respect them and proud of them. Now, and my question was, Commissioner Burton, during previous discussions, you referred to concerned citizens as political activists. Can you explain exactly what you meant by that?
Ms. Saunders, good to see you again.
Good to see you too.
I have no idea what you just said.
During previous discussions, you referred to concerned citizens as political activists. Can you explain exactly what you meant by that?
No.
You just say stuff out of the blue and don't know what you
No, there's political activists, there's concerned citizens, there's leaders, there's citizen leaders. I said a lot.
Because
Are you one of those?
That's what you were saying last night. I don't know.
I'm just asking you. We're having a conversation.
Okay, because
There you go. Yeah, and I just had a conversation with you the other day, a great conversation. Very good, very enlightening. Yes, ma'am.
Because from where I stand, the people speaking out aren't political operatives or activists. They're residents, parents, veterans, taxpayers who have every right to question a decision that could literally determine how fast help rise when their family dials 911.
Totally agree with you. Totally.
Okay. Do you believe labeling citizens who take time out of their day to speak up about public safety as activists encourages open dialogue or shuts it down?
I always encourage open dialogue. As I said 24 hours ago.
So you're saying now you believe in open dialogue?
Yes. As I said last night, which is memorialized on YouTube, you can see that. As I'll say tonight, which is memorialized, and you'll see that in the future too.
So you're comfortably dismissing public concern about a merger, though, that directly impacts life-saving response times, staffing, and taxpayer costs as political activists, but you want
No,
to
ma'am.
call it dialogue, good dialogue.
No, ma'am, dialogue has nothing to do with the men and women in the back row back there as response time. That has nothing to do with their response time. Ask them about their response time. I think it's quite good. I think it's very good.
We know, we've had to call them, we love them, we're very proud of them. They do hard work.
Yeah, and I'm standing up for them every day.
And their hearts are totally in it. You made comments suggesting that a few people speaking up don't represent the county. Would you agree that just because others can't be there or can't be here because they're working, or raising families, or serving this community, doesn't mean they aren't watching and talking about what's happening?
No, I don't agree with that.
Thank you. Because do you understand that 70,000 people you represent depend on decisions like this merger being done right? And that one concerned citizen standing here is representing many voices who simply can't be in this room tonight?
As I am representing many voices who are scared to be in this room tonight.
Scared to be in this room?
Yeah,
Or are they scared of what?
I'll leave that where it's at.
You're talking, okay, let me get this on, I'll get to that. Do you recognize that when citizens...
Maybe some of them will speak out soon.
Excuse me?
Maybe some will speak out soon.
Good. Do you recognize that when citizens raise concerns about this merger, it's not political, it's personal? Because their lives may depend on whether emergency services are equipped, staffed, and funded properly?
Oh, absolutely.
If sometimes going wrong because this merger was planned right, will you still say it was political?
Is that your question or someone's question that you're reading?
No, I said if something goes wrong in this merger, are you still going to say it was political?
This merger is not political and never has been political, period.
Okay,
Yeah.
dialogue now.
Thank you.
But yet you're shutting it down because you told, like I said last night, you told Rochelle that you didn't talk to the people prior to doing this merger and all because you didn't feel the need to.
No, I never said that.
Yes, you did. You can pull up the meeting before this, like the one last
And you can
night.
do
It's
that.
on there.
You can do that. I've spoke to many people. I've spoke to many people. There's been discussions about this acquisition where EMS and fire needs to come under Pender County for over 20 years. There was discussion when Representative Justice, Miss Justice, was a county commissioner, back when there was talk about incorporating Hampstead. There was talk about this for many, many years, but no one acted on it.
Do you think it's appropriate for an elected official to belittle or dismiss public participation, the very foundation of democracy and republic, when people are exercising their right to speak at a public meeting?
No, I do not. I don't know. Anyone is, that's what, this is America. That's what this is about.
Then will you publicly clarify tonight that concerned citizens are not political activists and that you welcome their voices without labeling or dismissing them?
I welcome any citizen's voice.
Because you clearly stood up there at Center City last night and said there's political activists in here.
So you're saying political activists don't exist?
You,
Is that a-
they were in
is
Center
that-
City meeting last night.
Were they?
I don't know, you said, you don't remember what you say, you just.
Oh, I remember fully what I said.
It's out every time, out every
Yeah.
back of the mouth.
I enjoy our conversations on every meeting, Ms. Saunders. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome, thank you, you want to comment? Anybody around?
She's first over.
I'm Angela. I work for Pender EMS and Fire. It's pretty obvious. And I'm proud to say I work for them. I don't agree with everything that our admin does. I've never worked a job that I've ever agreed with everything that my boss man or boss lady did. Okay? I completely get it. There's people disgruntled on both sides. However, one of the main things that I wrote on my list, and I sat down, I have watched every town hall meeting, because I've been at work for most of them. I've watched every town hall meeting, either live or went back and watched it after the fact. I watched the Commissioners Board meeting last week. I was at the Pender EMS and Fire Board meeting yesterday. I keep hearing that fire is 100% for this, which I know to be pretty close to true. I don't know if it's 100%, but a large majority of them are for this merger. And they are my coworkers, and I trust them with my life every day. And whether they are for the merger or not for the merger, I will still trust them with my life. Because you guys, and when I say you guys, not just the commissioners, our upper admin, you guys' political discord between each other has nothing to do with my daily job. But when it starts affecting my daily job as a concerned citizen, all of my extended family lives in this county. Unfortunately, a lot of my coworkers know my extended family because my elderly parent, step-parent, has problems. They've been to them many times. And when it starts affecting my job and my family members, I have a huge problem with that. We are currently, the uniform I'm standing in right now, from 8 p.m. Friday, this past weekend, to 8 a.m. Monday morning, I was in this uniform or one identical to it for 48 of the 60 working hours. Now, you can look at me and say, they asked you to work, you could have said no, and you're right. I could have said no. I could have said no, and my coworker could have said no, and they could have put a truck down. And when your mama, your brother, your sister called 911, and they have a 35 to 40-minute wait time because we've got trucks coming from out of county, and they die laying on the floor in front of you, I want you to tell me I could have said no. Those of us who work EMS and fire my coworkers back here, my coworkers sitting next to me, and even, as much as y'all don't want to believe it, my white shirts sitting in here that have made their entire career out of a passion for taking care of people and for taking care of family members and being there on people's worst days. Everybody's political BS does not matter at the end of the day, because there's those of us that are going to show up. And what you guys all need to do is show up for us now. I heard at the Board of Commissioners meeting last week, when Chief Haraway was asking for incentive pays to keep current employees or to bring new employees in. Well, we just started the budget year. Was this not included in the budget for this past year? I asked you guys as commissioners, in less than 9 months, you're telling me I'm going to be working under you. And I'll tell you, like I told all my coworkers, I don't care who signs my paycheck, as long as I can do my job to the best of my ability with equal or better pay, equal or better equipment, equal or better training. I don't care who signs my paycheck. But you're telling me in 9 months, this county's going to be signing my paycheck. 3 months ago, when you were presented with Pender EMS and Fire budget, and you guys are the ones who approve it, and you went through and you looked at it and you chose to approve it, did any of you think, wait, there's no raises for these people that's not had a raise in 4.5 years? Did any of you think, wait, we have no incentive in here in a highly competitive career field? There is a nationwide shortage for those of us who choose to do this job. Did any of you look at it and say, and I'm not dismissing, like I said, that on my employer side, maybe they should have looked at it too. They're as responsible as you are. But you expect me to go, well, next year they'll make sure we're taken care of. You didn't make sure we were taken care of this time. Not laying the blame all on you, not laying the blame all on Pender EMS and Fire. It's time to stop playing political, come together and figure out that you're losing the very people that are keeping us all safe. The snide remarks, the comments of, I don't have to answer questions. I do not see that gentleman here tonight. But I did it because I wanted to, as a resident and as an employee, that's not an answer. And the fact that you're frustrated with things that have happened in the past, when we come up here and ask these questions, saying, I don't know, we're working on it, that is an acceptable answer. But telling me I don't have to answer your question, I don't have to explain my thought process behind what I chose to vote on, that's not acceptable. That's not acceptable, because tomorrow night, or actually tomorrow morning, because I picked up yet another overtime shift to cover one of our trucks, tomorrow morning, I may be going to you. And you want, when you make that phone call, you want somebody to be able to answer it. But at the rate this merger and all this discord is going, you're not going to have people to answer those calls, because they're up and going where there's not so much trauma and discord, and they don't have all these problems. They all think the grass is greener on the other side. And the first to admit, I left Pender years ago, came back. Because, yeah, we have our problems. But grass isn't always greener on the other side. Everywhere has their problems. But you guys need to stop and think about that. That we show up to work because we care. And it doesn't matter what, it doesn't matter what your dislikes are, your I don't care for that person. We don't care. What we care about is that we're able to go to work and do our jobs, but we also care about the fact that if I wanted to work 2 full-time jobs, I would have got another full-time job. My average paycheck right now is running 140 hours every 2 weeks. I'm on a truck taking care of your loved ones, and I'm running 140 hours every 2 weeks. Explain to me how whether they put it in the budget 3 months ago or not is even relevant at this point. That is, If y'all want to have that discussion, have it later. Right now, you need to address the right now problems.
It's my understanding 2 of the commissioners voted against this proposal. They happen to be the 2 that I've come to rely on their judgment more than the others. I would like to know why you voted against this proposal.
The reason I voted against the proposal wasn't because I'm against the merger, it's because of the speed that this merger is happening. There's so many unanswered questions, financially, staffing. Ms. Fulton said the ISO rating, there's a chance that it could possibly change. The people in Raleigh says it's a good chance it's going to change. What's the tax implications on me as not only a commissioner, but as a taxpayer and a homeowner and having to pay extra insurance? I agree that it may be the best thing for the employees. They will get better benefits. I just think it's going too fast. I will speak to her question, and this may answer some of yours. Pender EMS and Fire, the past 2 years, I came on board as a county commissioner in February of 2023. So I've sat through 2 budget cycles. They have asked for additional funds, as has a whole lot of our county departments asked for additional funds. Those funds got cut before they ever made it to the commissioner. So it's not that they didn't ask, it's that they didn't get it. That also concerns me because now, if we do away with the fire tax, the fire and EMS, right now they're kind of protected in the fire with the fire tax and EMS tax. If we go to a general fund where they're just lumped in with the general fund, now they're competing with everybody for the same amount of money. So those are the questions I have that's not been answered. How are we funding this? If we're doing away with the fire tax, how are we going to fund it to ensure that we don't cut services and we don't cut benefits when we need a new courthouse, because it's coming. The last bill was $58 million, and that's only getting more every year that we delay it. So when the court system sues us to make us do that, and that's the threat, what gets cut? Ms. Blue said last night there wouldn't be a tax increase. Well, there may not be a tax increase, but if you also listen to what she said, there will be cuts. What's going to be cut? What are we cutting to make this work? I think if we phased it in where we could afford it, it would have made a lot more sense than trying to eat the whole elephant all in one bite. I mean, we'll be the third, if we do it, if it goes through, we'll be the 3rd county in North Carolina out of 100 counties that's done this. So it's not something that's done all over North Carolina. It's not done all over the nation. The model we currently have is what is the model nationwide. If you can research it, I did it. Why haven't the bigger municipalities, our bigger counties, such as Mecklenburg still has a contract. Med 1 is their contractor for their EMS services. New Hanover County doesn't even do their own EMS. These are counties that's got a lot more money than Pender County's got. So that was my thing, is why not phase it in like every other county that has done it? New Hanover County has phased theirs in. Chief Haraway, if he was here, he's been through 2 or 3 mergers and through municipalities. He explained that he's worked on some that's taken 3 years, and he's worked on some that's taken 15 years. Nobody's done it in 18 months. Nowhere. Especially a county that is lacking resources right now. We don't have a county attorney. We don't have a county manager. We just got a tax administrator. We don't have a planning director. We don't have an inspections director. We have we have a dedicated finance officer that's filling in as an interim county manager. We don't have the resources to do it correctly, to make sure it's all the I's are crossed or T's are crossed and I's are dotted. That was my reasoning behind it. Not that I'm against the merger. let's do it right. If we're gonna do it, let's do it right. There's a lot at stake here. I've got family that work, and that need to, and I've got family that's been here since the 1800s. They're not still living, of course, but my family is still in Pender County, and it's my home. And my in-laws are here, and they're up in age. I'm up in age. And I just want to make sure it's done right. Everybody's taken care of. The guys that sitting back here on the back row, they may not believe it because none of them came to me for any thought. But I would have told them, it's not that I'm against it. I want to make sure they're taken care of. I mean, if you watched last week, it was kind of an eye-opener for a lot. I got a lot of phone calls. There was a lot of things said at that county commissioners meeting that upset a lot of their employees, and it should. I mean, Ms. Fulton says we're doing a comparative salary study with surrounding counties. The statement was made that we're not New Hanover County, we're not Leland. So who are we comparing to? Those are my concerns.
I have a question for Mr. Burton. Mr. Burton, is it true that you ran for county commissioner to garner support, make a name for yourself, to be able to run for sheriff of Pender County, and that you speedily are rushing this merger through to garner the support and the backbone of the firemen to see you through that election?
No, ma'am. And I don't know where you got that. That's laughable.
Okay. I just wanted to hear you say it out of your mouth.
And I'll say it again, it's laughable, and I don't know where you heard it, and it's completely false.
Thank you.
Yeah.
My next question is for Mr. Mr. Springer. Mr. Springer, is it true that 3 young women who were students at one of our local high schools did a county internship to learn about county government in hopes of being better informed adults and possibly seeking careers in county government? And when they came to thank you for that opportunity, and you met with them as an individual with no chaperone with these 3 minors, you told them that women had no place in government, they should stay home with their children, and that women and gays and lesbians and transgender people had no place in government. And when these young women went to HR, they were told that it was one word against another and that they should just let it go and forget about it. Not considering, I guess maybe it's that maybe they were minors, so they don't count as one whole person each. They're each a third of a person, because it wasn't looked at as 3 words against one. They were told one word against the other, that they didn't have a case to stand on, but that you did not attend the county commissioners meeting when they made their appearance before the board to thank the whole board for their opportunity, but you were summoned to come in after they left.
No, ma'am, that's not true. I was not told, I'm never told when to be at a meeting and when to attend and when not to attend.
Well, let's go back to the first part about, is it true that you told those young women that women have no place in government and that they should stay home with their families?
No, ma'am, that's not true.
Okay.
Do you have the sources here with you tonight that could speak on that?
I do not. I would not bring their names out in public.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I'm Kenny Ramsey, y'all know me. First off, in the very first part of the presentation tonight on the screen, it defined a merger, an agreement between two parties to come together and combine. The way I understand it, EMS and Fire was told you're going to do this, and they did not originally agree. So it's not a merger, it's a takeover. Now, my other question, and got a lot to say. At a previous meeting, I asked the question, we've got a $15 million projected new county maintenance building that will also include buses and everything else. Back in 2022, we were presented with a school bond issue that included, aside from the new K-8 school over at Hempstead, it was sold to us that there would be renovate Topsail Middle School, add to Rocky Point Elementary, rebuild the Burgaw Middle Cafeteria, and construct a new central and maintenance building. I asked, and that did add a 9.25 cent per 100 to the taxes. I asked the question, what happened to that maintenance building and all the stuff on the west side? And I was told that it was cost overrun on the new school. That everything went up, prices went up. And I asked the question, was it because you added more space? And I was told prices went up. Now my question is to Mr. Springer, because I understand you were on the school board at the time. Was it because you added 24,000 new square feet, 14 additional classrooms, and a second story to the middle school? Is that why there was a cost overrun?
There's a escalation of cost every year in construction. As you probably already know, since you're a CB, right?
Yeah.
You know this.
I'm not a CB.
Okay, so there's a cost of construction every year, on average 5%. 2 years after they opened that school, because it wasn't projected either, that school is probably going to be at capacity. And then your tax dollars, as well as everybody else's in this room, is going to be looking at putting a trailer park at that school like there is every other school. I would rather spend the money to build a bigger school versus putting temporary solutions for a permanent problem. Would you agree with that?
Is that what the people in this county voted for this school bond issue, promised these other things would be done, especially with the east-west divide in this county? What I was told, there's a little left over, and that's going to the elementary school at Topsail, and all of the west side stuff is just tough. Burgaw Middle School, that cafeteria was built in 1957, and everything else there. You look at the schools over here that are being worked on. The gymnasium was built in 1946. One of the buildings that is in use was built in 1917. But yet, new stuff over here. That school is at capacity also, just about.
Which school is this?
Burgaw Middle.
Okay.
And so, all the money's over here. Yes, you might have needed more room over here before long, then you would address it. But instead, you pulled it from the other side of the county, from the schools over there, and now we're having to possibly spend $15 million for a maintenance garage when that was promised to the voters that voted for this bond issue. Is that not correct?
Well, what is correct is you have to prioritize things on that budget.
That's not an answer.
I'm giving you an answer. You either take it or you won't. The bond is set up on activities like it was for. It was wrote as a general bond. It was so a lot of activities were sold to the voters that won't happen. The answer to your question is,
I'm a voter. I was told, pass this, you'll get these things.
and I wasn't on the school board then.
You were on the board when they added another story.
But I wasn't on the board, Mr. Ramsey, when the bond got sold.
Not when the bond was sold.
Or voted on, my apologies.
Modified.
Yeah, I was. Yep.
You and Mr.
And I'll stand on that vote.
You and Mr. Cordero were the architects of that change.
That's correct.
I don't even understand how it's legal to change that.
I just told you, the bond was wrote as a general bond. Maybe you remember, maybe you don't. I'll sit right back up here on the stage and I asked to have a school meeting with the school board and to only be sold an activity in which it could do,
Okay?
right, for a high school. No other activities. There's some on this board that may remember that, there's some that may not, I don't know. You can go back and watch the video. But I don't believe in telling voters a whole bunch of other stuff that ain't gonna happen. Because cost escalation was not figured, population was potentially figured, I don't know.
All right, the other part of that is, at the previous meeting, a couple of meetings ago, when I asked the question, and I got the cost overrun, why didn't you, and I asked about additional, why didn't you say something?
Commissioner George answered the question.
No, it didn't.
Okay, well, I didn't know you took exception to
The
it.
only one that answered was Miss Blue, and she only knows about the money. And I asked a question in general to everybody at the front, all the board.
I can't answer for back then, I don't know. I don't know why I didn't answer. Maybe because it wasn't aimed at me, I don't know.
Secondly, I am in your district, but everybody in your district, well, everybody I know in your district, which I was born in 72 years ago, knows that you are representing us, or at least supposed to be. But it seems like everything you propose is for the east end of the county. Let's add more districts over here. Let's fix the schools over there. You're ignoring Burgaw. You're ignoring the west side, and we are
In your district.
in your district.
What would you propose, or what would you like for me to bring to the board to vote on?
Well, for one, we represent your district.
I'm asking you a question, Ms. Randy. What would you like for me to bring to the board in your in our district for it to be voted on?
Fix the schools.
What school? We got 3 or 4 of them.
Yeah,
Which,
all of them. They're all subpar.
okay, so what's wrong with them?
I'm not on the school board, and I don't.
I'm not either.
I had kids that go there,
Okay.
and I do know, I went to Burgaw Middle when it was Burgaw High, and except for one big main building, it's the same buildings. Same World War II. gymnasium.
Commissioner George spoke on this last night. They're probably, maybe, potentially, if they get if they get what they want from the state, they're going to combine 2 schools, right?
Yeah.
That's coming in our district. Government, you know as well as I do, because you're a veteran, government doesn't move at lightning speed. Additionally, when we passed the budget, we added funds to go directly toward the maintenance of schools.
All right, but secondly, the conversations are all about big population increase on the east side. They're getting ready to put thousands more
That's right.
houses on the west side.
Yep.
They're getting ready to raise the population of students over there by at least 1/3 in the very near future. But there's been no talk that I know of help on that side.
Help as far as what kind of help?
Well, let's see, we need additional classrooms at Topsail because of future increase in the near times.
Right. But now you're for that.
Said anything about the total other end of the county. Secondly, that is the county seat of government. That should be every county commissioner meeting over there where all the people would come. I have never in my life seen U.S. Congress meet in California because there's more people out there. Everybody goes to D.C. That's our central part of government, our county seat of government. So a lot of people will not drive all the way to Hampstead to come to a meeting. Few will, especially when it's all a topic like this.
Mm-hmm.
So many years ago, I had public service. I was off around the world at times, but I always lived my home was Pender County. I came back, oh golly, all the volunteer fire departments and rescues are pretty much taken up and got this contract deal here. I didn't like it, but I've studied it, and I do know that it was working. It was one of the best ones in the state, if not the country. I have asked questions. I don't think a year or 2 years ago that they had the turnover like they've had in the last 6 months. There's a big problem. I've heard a lot of publicity on that. The turnover, oh, it's because of, not getting raises and various, no, it's because of this. 2/3 of them don't like this takeover. But yet.
2/3 of Bogal or two-thirds of who?
EMS and fire personnel that were there when it first came up. Many
Okay.
of them are gone. And regardless of what all the other reasons you come up with, it's because of the merger and the uncertainty. Now, you have these town halls. Almost everyone I've heard talk at the town halls has been against this merger. Or at least, kind of like I am, stretch it out for 4 or 5 years and bring it in, phase it in, like some counties have done. Like it is, I'm 100% against what we're doing. That's all I'm going to say.
Thanks, sir.
I had 2 questions, but this gentleman asked one of them, which was about the merger, because the definition is agreement. And I think the agreement only came after the board did the hostile takeover of the Pender EMS board. And then they got agreement from themselves, which isn't really a merger, in my opinion. But my real question is, Pender County is bleeding employees. Mr. George listed some of the, higher level of employees that you simply do not have now. How can you say that you're going to take on 200 more employees from Pender EMS and Fire when you can't keep the ones you have? And we are not competitive with the counties around us. The EMS and fire people are no different. We can't compete with them salary-wise and benefit-wise. That's a good portion of the reason that our teachers leave. Everybody leaves because we don't pay them maybe what they deserve, but we certainly can't pay them what they're able to get elsewhere. And I would like somebody to explain to me how we're going to solve that problem and then add 200 more employees.
I'll respond. Is this on? I'm sorry. So I'll give you one example for EMS and fire employees where they're going to benefit coming under the county. Okay, well, restate your question.
Going to resolve the staffing problem and add 200 more employees.
So bring back some more employees to backfill some of the positions that have left. I'll give you an example of an incentive that the county will offer. Some of the new faces in the audience tonight, the citizens. I don't know how many people in this room have family medical care. Raise your hand if you pay family medical insurance. Family medical. Family medical. So, okay. If you're a county employee, it's around, employee portion out of your check every month is about $600, $605, okay? Current Pender EMS and fire employees, to be a firefighter, you got to be relatively young. You got to be in pretty good shape. I'm a little fat now, but I did it for 20 years. You got to know how to go into a 1,400-degree house fire. So I'm giving you an example, if you'll let me finish, please. Those employees that have family medical insurance under Pender EMS and Fire's private company, out of their check, pay $1,700 a month. $1,740 or something like that. So, yeah. So, that's one example. That's one example. So, an employee there now that's thinking about leaving to go to Wilmington or Onslow County or Myrtle Beach for better benefits for their young family can stay here when we provide better health care benefits, better retirement. That's where that additional little cost each year is going to come to benefit those employees, to give them a pension plan that when they put in 30 years of service, that they can get a pension. Or ones that will come back. to provide better pay and benefits.
On what? They don't haven't had a raise. You, the county board,
Mhm.
that one over there said.
Yes.
The county board did
Yes.
not agree to give raises. Suddenly,
So-
the money is sitting there and you're going to feel differently about increasing their salaries
So,
or benefits. Where is that money going to come from? Because there's a budget that is essentially the same. So where does it come from?
okay. So, well, the folks at home did not hear you, so,
I'll say it again.
Where will the money come from? Because this budget that's, I know this isn't a budget, but the financial information that we were provided.
Yes, ma'am.
Did not include salary increases, it did not include benefit increases.
Yes.
All that we heard today was the additional administrative staff that will be required to be a chief of EMS or whatever the title was. I'm sorry, Sarah, that I didn't hear it. I don't remember what it was. That's additional
Yeah.
staffing requirements.
their current administration does pretty good. Their chief makes more than the county manager, a little over $180,000 a year for that private company. They do pretty good in their senior administration. So, when they come before the county during budget time, they have talks with the county manager, as does every department, the sheriff's office, and everybody. And if I'm a senior leader of a department, that's my time to come before the county commission and stand up for my employees and fight for them to get what I can get for them. That's my time to do that. I don't recall Pender EMS and Fire's leadership coming up and fighting for those employees to have this additional benefits. I don't recall that.
Because they don't make it that far. That negotiation part, and Ms. Blue can verify this, those cuts and things, the recommendations are made at the county manager and county finance officer level before they ever get to the county commissioners. That's why we see the budget, the recommended budget from the county finance officer has already been weeded, and whatever's needs to be taken out or added to it, that's when it's done before it ever gets to us. There is some, Ms. Mosier, I think, was one of the only ones that actually came in after the fact and solicited for additional funding for her. But yes, those, am I wrong? Those negotiations done prior to us.
Not entirely wrong, but we didn't cut Pender EMS and Fire's request for additional funding last year.
Please, Ms. Blue, come up.
So to clarify a couple of things, one, we didn't cut Pender EMS and Fire's request for general fund funding last year. We agreed, and that's what was presented to the board. There was no cut, and if my spreadsheet, this one could show you a couple more columns, you could see that, but it doesn't because it wouldn't fit. The other thing that you said that might need a little clarification is these numbers that I calculated do include an increase for every single person that works at Pender EMS and Fire. The larger increases go to the fire and EMS folks because that's where it's needed, but it does include that. It also includes a 3% COLA in addition to that, assuming that that's what the county would do because that's what the current CPI is based on. And I say this not to discount anything that anybody has said, but to help people understand that I didn't make up these numbers. They come from a lot of math, a lot of work. They're based on the numbers that Pender EMS and Fire supplied to us. I can't tell you exactly who's who because I don't know names, and I don't need to at this point. But very soon, we're going to have to get to that point if we're going to make progress, right? But to answer your question, it does include increases for every single employee that works for Pender EMS and Fire, literally every one of them. And it doesn't cut any positions. The only increase, well, I said every single one of them. There's one that doesn't include an increase. So I don't want to misspeak, but there's one that's not increased. So, thank you.
So I stand corrected, and she's right. Mr. Silverman at the time did tell me that Pender EMS and Fire was not requesting a increase this year, that they were told, since they were becoming part of a county system, to get what they needed to maintain this year. So she's right. They didn't ask for a request because the takeover had already been initiated at budget time.
Okay, I'm Sandy Rooks, and I just had a brief statement about what Mr. Ramsey was saying about the overcost on the school over here. May not mean anything now, but it was my understanding that the piece of land that they bought, whoever in power approved buying that piece of land, and it was twice as much, they paid twice as much for it as it was worth. So that's a lot of what the overrun was. At my lunch table Sunday, somebody reminded me that we were talking about somebody that we had a bad feeling about. And they reminded me to trust your gut. Well, my gut tells me that we need to be wary of some of the decisions that this board's making. I'm concerned what appears to be several members that have their own agendas that aren't really good for our county. A couple of the things, I'll just mention a couple. One of them is supporting the paper. Pender Post has been our ally and has supported this county for years and years and years. And to see how this board has disregarded them, has tried to destroy them, is a disgrace. It's a disgrace. This board needs to put your big boy pants on, undo it, and get over it. The other thing is this merger. Now, it may be the most wonderful thing for Pender County. I mean, I'm not educated in all of this enough to know. But the information being withheld and coming in late, it's like you're trying to keep us in the dark. It's been rushed through, and as it's been talked about, you know, it should take years, not 18 months. That's one of the biggest things. Want to look out for the county employees. We want them to have raises and want them to get paid. But there's a right way to do things, and forcing it down us and taking over like it's been done, that's not the way to do it. Now, these town hall meetings have helped. We've gotten a lot more information since, you know, we started having these. And watching online, you know, is what a lot of us can do. The $300,000 for the new sound system, that's a drop in the bucket with the $54 million that we've got, and this is a capital thing. I think you need to go on and do it. So many of us rely on the internet and watching online. I think that's very important. That wasn't on my list, but that came out tonight. So I think that that's something you truly, Ms. Justice, I agree. Communications is the main thing. Internet and the paper. We need to have everything about the Board of Commissioners meetings, times, dates, what they talk about and everything in that paper. And we need to support that paper.
Amen. Amen.
Okay. The conduct of this board is an embarrassment. The bickering, the condescending attitude that some of the commissioners have for the people is a disgrace. I know that each side deserves to be listened to. We need to respect each other, but many of the commissioners have lost the respect of the citizens. And that's not good. That's not good. You've been reminded at other meetings, you do work for us. And our voices and concerns need to be heard and considered in a timely manner, not after the fact.
Amen.
Okay. And this one, okay. Unfortunately, I understand that not all of the board members have the financial integrity or know-how to be making decisions for our county. If you can't control and do good by your own family finances, how are we to trust you to take care of ours?
Amen.
These are just some thoughts. I just needed, I told Rochelle, I just needed to vent tonight.
Come on, Sandy, tell it like it is.
But I do have one more thing that I want to add, and I'm not being ugly, but I resent the idea of people who are not native or longtime citizens of our area to come into our community, be appointed to our county boards, and are intent on bringing division that damages and disrupts our long-standing culture. My gut tells me that there's more going on here than meets the eye.
So just real quick on the property that was, the county purchased that, it was not part of the bond, it was purchased, so that's not part of the overrun, is the purchase.
How much was that?
A bunch. I don't remember the exact cost. 5 million for 70 acres, wasn't?
No, it's,
And most of it is not buildable.
it's 107.
107 acres. It is wet. That's why, and that's maybe part of the overrun is they had to mound that dirt to load to push the water out of the soil to build on it. Yeah, I made the statement last night. I may have offended some people, but a lot of Pender County is wet, and finding dry land, a big chunk of dry land in Pender County is difficult anywhere.
But if
So-
you're going to pay that much money for a piece of land, it ought to be able to perk.
Make you good.
If
Right.
it's not perking, you ought not to have to pay that much money for it.
They didn't have to mitigate any wetlands on that piece of property that they're building on, which is good. The wetlands are in the back part of the property. So the part that the school is going on, they didn't mitigate, so there was no wetlands disturbed. There's a small section that'll be in between the driveways. If you're looking at it, once they ever get the driveways in, that's a wetland. That's why that wasn't touched, and then behind it. The county also purchased the property behind it for their, it's not a reverse osmosis plant. What is it called now? Membrane plant? Nano something water plant.
No questions. I just have something I want to say about a comment that was made last night. Towards the end of the meeting, Commissioner Burton said he was disappointed at the lack of boots on the ground that showed up for the meeting. Employees were not in attendance from Pender EMS and Fire. You even alluded to the fact that they would be scared or fearful to speak out. So as an employee, I spoke with my coworkers this morning, asked them why they didn't show up. One of them said they thought they'd take the opportunity to put their 3-year-old to bed that night. Others said, well, we were still at work. Then finally, others said they were too tired to go. So let me tell you why they're too tired. Of the 200 people that we paid this week, 95 worked over 100 hours in their 2-week paycheck. 3 of those workers, our firefighters, worked over 200 hours, the top being 217 hours. That is what it takes to fill the holes created by the people that have been leaving. This should also let you know about the amount of overtime that is going to cost you. If I don't mind using Angela, Angela is an EMS employee who works 12-hour shifts. Her salaried schedule, she works a 36 and a 48. So each pay period, she gets 76 hours of straight time, 8 hours of overtime. And judging by your 140, that means just this past you would have gotten 56 hours of overtime. That's nothing. That's nothing. Many a week will have a firefighter with over 100 hours of overtime. So the reason why they're not at your meetings isn't because they didn't want to show up. They're tired. They've been working, and they just needed a break. Thank you.
I'm sorry, you said coworker. What is your position with EMS and Fire? You're in HR? Are you the director or, okay. I'm sorry, I just hadn't met you.
So my name's Jim Harris. I think you know me. I'd like to take this in a little different direction tonight because it's an opportunity, I think, to solve some of the problems that we've all discussed this evening regarding communications, outreach, accountability, et cetera, et cetera. I spent 30 years in Fairfax County, Virginia, We had district voting in Fairfax County. Everyone knew their district representative, their district commissioner by name. We have problems in this county because people don't know who is their representative because the way the lines are drawn or because of the lack of communications. So I think it would be a great opportunity, a nonpartisan opportunity for all of us to stay connected with all of you if we were to implement district voting in Pender County. We would have better and stronger representation. You would have a defined audience for who it is that you need to communicate with individually, and you can get over some of these internecine wars that have been referred to that I think allow you to stand up with the full knowledge of what your constituents really desire. It would be wonderful if, as part of that district voting initiative, we were allowed as citizens of this county to provide or to proffer resolutions for your consideration, either at a specific time or through a specific process, which we are not able to do now. So my question to each of you would be, are you in favor of district voting? Do you see it as an opportunity to improve communications and to improve representation alliances and collaboration? And if not, why?
Thank you, Mr. Harris.
Yes.
I don't see any issue with district voting. It's been talked about. It's been brought up before with the population density and the growth coming to our county. We got a little over 70,000 people, and was going to, we're the second fastest growing county in the state, and we're going to continue to grow. I think Mr. Ramsey alluded to that on the west side. I think there's getting ready to be over 3,500 homes in the next few years from Rocky Point West. That's a good conversation to have. I want the citizens to be equally represented. I don't have any personal issues either way with that at all. I think the state is actually starting to look at district lines, redoing that for population and density now. So I don't have any issue with that.
Congressional districts?
I think for the state, they're starting to look at that now. Is that right, Ms. Justice? I think they're starting to look at that at the state to try to bring that back in line with population growth. Yeah.
I see. Thank you. Anyone else? Mr. George?
Ms. Justice got a question.
So I'll answer his question while the mic's coming this way. I'm neither for nor against that because I understand the need for possibly district voting because the west side of the county is sometimes underserved, underrepresented, and I've seen that when I sat on the school board. So I see a need for it to an extent, but I would need more knowledge and research to make a final decision of what that actually means. I mean,
I'd like to speak to that if I could. When I was a commissioner, we talked about it then. And Hampstead is the one that talked about it because a majority of the votes of the 5 were on the other side of the county. So our 2 guys, they couldn't get anything done because those 3 were going to vote for what was best for the west side of the county. Here's what's coming. When you redraw this county, you know where the population is, don't you? You can end up with 3 commissioners over here. They are then going to have the controlling vote. Do you get that? Because the one-on-one thing is good, but when it goes to a vote, it takes 3 votes. We've discovered that, haven't we? To pass anything. So there's the downside of it. I think what's missing is because we've gotten so big and we're no longer the population it was when I was a commissioner coming in 1994, we had a closer relationship with the people in the district that we were elected from. And so we would go to the county commissioners meetings and say, hey, here's what my folks need. And because it took 3 votes and they got to hear my wishes and the wishes of the other county commissioners, we were able to come to consensus of what was best overall for the county. When you do by-district, and I was all for, I love the thought of by-district voting. I own the first local newspaper here, which is now been merged into the Pender Post. And I wrote about it all the time. I just thought it was the greatest thing in the world till one old guy from, I don't know, Willard or Walther or somewhere came to see me one day and he said, "Ma'am, do you know you're going to screw yourself if you do that? Because you got to have 3 votes, and we didn't have 3 votes." Do you see what I'm saying? You're going to be on the opposite side of that coin if as the population grows. But I just think it's something you need to spend a lot of time thinking about, not necessarily just as commissioners, but as citizens who are going to take the brunt of that if it happens. Now, as Rocky Point grows, things may equalize, because I don't think there's a piece of land left in Hampstead to build on. But probably is. They'll probably stack them up 3 stories high. But anyway, that's just a thing to think about, though I think I know what your mission is. It's for your district to be heard, and that gets harder as the population grows. And you don't have that. You know, I saw my folks in the grocery store all the time. You know, I knew who they were. They knew who I was. When I went to the State House as a state representative, my number grew. I then represented all of Pender County, part of northern New Hanover County. And it was harder to know, and those were diverse needs, difference between New Hanover and Pender. But I applaud you for looking into better ways to do this, but I think that's a dangerous one.
Hey, I'm concerned about, Brad said the IAS, he said that he had heard that the IAS was going to be affected, but Meg, you said that y'all were under the impression it was not going to be affected. Now, which is it? Because you're talking about insurance. We're all paying enough insurance now. And you're talking about medical insurance? We're on Social Security. We're paying about $1,400 a month for medical insurance on Social Security. Try that, and then you want to go up with higher taxes. That's what it's looking like. It ain't. You can't get blood out of a turnip, folks. You got to get an overall concept of everybody in Pender County. When I was younger and worked 80 hours a week, I didn't have no problem with it either, because I was out there working and hustling and worked 6 and 7 days a week. Loved it. And if I still could, I would, because I loved it. But I can't no more. And there's a lot of Pender County people that can't. And they're on fixed incomes. And their salaries don't put it, it's not there to do that. They can't, they got to be able to decide on whether to pay for the groceries, the medicine, or what. They're not going to be out there paying high money for internet, high money for phones and stuff. They want that local newspaper, folks. They want that local newspaper to take to the throne with them to read. That's just them. And they have that right to have that. And it's not fair for 2 or 3 commissioners to vote our newspaper out just because you guys can't put your big boy clothes on and get on with the people's business, not with petty stuff. And that's what we elected you guys for. That's what we voted you guys in for. But you guys have proven that we cannot trust you because you're doing stuff behind closed doors that is not good for the Pender County people in whole. You're not voting stuff that's for the people or what's best for Pender County people. When you're shoving stuff down our throats that you didn't even get our input on, you didn't feel the need to talk to everybody, but yet you're shoving it down our throat. I don't know what we are. I don't know what we are. Are we y'all's the servants or what? I mean, because you look around in the old professions and you shoving stuff down our throats, whether we like it or not, it don't look pretty. It's not a pretty thought of what the title of that story is. We expect better of you guys. And this stuff of wishy-washy, just feeding us whatever. One of the commissioners told my husband that he needed to get in control of me, to take control of me. to get me under control. My God, my daddy died in 1972. I don't begin to try to take control of Louis Edward. His mama died in 1986. I thank the world of him, and I love him to death, and I thank God for him. But I respect him, and I appreciate him, and I listen to his voice, and I hear him. I don't try to take control of him, and he does not me either. And for a commissioner that's supposed to be representing Pender County people to tell a man that needs to take control of his wife because she talks too much at the meetings, that don't look good. All the wives out there that's having to work, but they're supposed to be took control of by their husbands. You little servants, you mind your husbands now. Ain't happening. They work just as hard. Anybody else want to say something?
Thank you, Ms. Saunders. But for the record, that was not me. I didn't speak to your husband about that. That was not me. So there's a couple of things that I wanted to.
You're right. It wasn't you, Jerry. Excuse me.
No,
You wasn't right. It wasn't you, Randy, but it was Jerry
Yeah.
Groves.
I'm Randy.
I know who you are. It was Jerry Groves.
Okay. Yes, ma'am. Thank you. So it's getting late, and I wanted to address just a couple of things to the folks tonight. I appreciate everybody coming out. I do. Out of all full respect, I appreciate dialogue, and there's not a person in this county that I will not talk to and have a conversation with. But I want to say a couple of things, and I think something's very important that the citizens need to know moving in through this next year. Your properties have been reevaluated. Okay, so we're going to have to work hard, and I mentioned this last night. We got to work hard this year. I know New Hanover County went through a property reevaluation, and it was something. Your property's worth more, the market's worth more, whatever. I'm only speaking as one commissioner out of 5. I'm going to work hard every day to make sure the check you wrote for your taxes this year are going to amount next year to the same amount. I'm not here to raise your taxes to bring more revenue into a government. I'm not here for that. Now, if you got a piece of land you've built 14 garages on and it's been reevaluated and it's worth more, the tax department's got to work through that. What I'm here to say simply is, if you live in a house, you've been there 10 years, you paid so much last year, you shouldn't have to pay any more next year than you paid last year, to me. Now, your tax rate may go down instead of going up. We just got to see where the numbers fall when that comes in, but it's going to be a lot of work. And I want to get ahead of that conversation because it's going to be, a lot of y'all got your reevaluation notices. That's really important. And one other thing and I spoke about this last night, so if you didn't hear this, and if you heard this, bear with me, you're going to hear it again. I'm pretty simple-minded. I don't claim to be smart. But I do know that when politicians start using the word, we got to pass a bond. That's a fancy word for we're going to raise your taxes to build or do what we need to do. And people need to know about that. I'm not either for or against. I mean, our children are our future leaders, and we need to support them and give them. I didn't interrupt you. And let me finish up. Let me finish up, and then we'll go back and forth. Okay. So a lot of people are told we got to pass this bond. You need to get out there and get this bond going. Why don't you just tell people, look, it's going to cost you this amount of money per household in this county to build this new school. It's up to you to vote for. I think we all know why they do that. So I like being transparent that way. But I think we had a question in the back.
Not really a question, but I've got a few things that I jotted down. Ryan Johnson, I'm a lieutenant in the fire division. I have worked in this county as a full-time firefighter, 2004. Left for a little while, came back. I was only gone for about 1.5 years. I had a bunch of notes, and then after listening to everything back and forth tonight, I feel like I just need to throw my phone down and just go because this is a mess. But I'm going to try to hit a few of my topics, and then I might go willy-nilly on it. I don't know. I'm just going to have to see where it goes. But I will say that being a part of the merger in 2013, we hired approximately 20 employees. We did it in a few months. We had nothing. We had no employees. We started from a handful of employees at different agencies. It gets referred to New Hanover County an awful lot. It is a monumental task, and there has been so much work done on it from all sides. Pender EMS and Fire's admin, county employees, y'all have knocked it out the park. Thank you. I hope you stay because y'all get a lot of crap for a lot of what's gone on. New Hanover County was in a different spot than we are right now. They had a station on 421. They didn't have the personnel that we have. It's a lot different. So yes, it is being a little bit rushed, but it's been talked about for years. In 2013, it was said months ago that Pender EMS was forced to take the fire departments. That never happened. That was a conversation. There were some things that needed to happen between Hampstead and Sloop Point. We were told we needed to merge, figure something out. There was conversations had around the table that said, hey, maybe this is an idea. Pender EMS is already established as a nonprofit in this county, so let's try to take on the fire departments. That's another time in this county's history that it was talked about with fire going county. That was the easiest route at the moment. That's where it went. Just wanted to clear that one up because I've heard that one a lot too. But since I started working full-time in this county that I've lived in for over 30 years, I've got about 20 years working in this county. And there's pros, there's cons, there's good, there's bad, there's different. But I can tell you right now, I would much rather have 20 years into a local government system than being 40 years old and I'm about to start brand new. I could have gone somewhere else. I've heard it from certain folks, why did I leave? Why did I come back if it was so bad? Because I want to work in this county. This is my home. This is where I have always worked. I love the people that I work with. This is where I want to work. That's why I'm working here. I could go to New Hanover County. I could go to the city of Wilmington or any other department that I wanted to try to apply for, but that's not what I want to do. I want to work here. But I feel like in Pender County, it was said in last week's meeting that it's hard to compete with other agencies and this and that. I would say when it comes to salaries, we better seriously be looking at our neighboring departments where so many of our employees are going, regardless of their demographics, because the employees and citizens in Pender County should be valued just as much as our surrounding counties. I feel like everybody in here is just as important as anybody else. These men and women who get up every day and go do this, the citizens that we respond to, I get it. We might not be as rich of a county, but we can figure it out. Hey, good news is it sounds like we've got a lot of extra money, so we've got a good place to start with a fund balance that we can start working on some things. One of the biggest things, it's just so frustrating because we are caught in the middle of a lot of hate and a lot of bad blood in this room, in this county, and we're sick and tired of it. And it's not just a merger that the people I've talked to, I'm not going to speak for the fire division, I'm not going to speak for our agency, I'm going to speak for me and the people that I've spoke to, but a lot of people who are leaving, it's multiple different issues. It's the uncertainty of it. It's coming in meetings like this and hear nothing but hate back and forth. If we would spend half the time as a county and agency and commissioners to work together, we've talked so much about how this can't be done by July. We could have built this thing 10 times over if we would have spent as much time doing it as we have fought back and forth over it. And I don't think a lot of people are against the merger as much as they're against the people who are for it, so they want to continue to fight on it. I could go on. There's a lot. There's a lot that needs to be said, a lot that I want to say. I will just say to my coworkers, like, it sucks right now. Like, we are in some crap. There's multiple different fingers we can point, but regardless, we're here. And I just hope and pray. We've lost so many good ones that I've spent my entire life working with that are now at these other agencies, and one that's lived here forever. He literally just left for benefits because he cannot afford them for his family. And you can't fault him. I've got young firemen coming to me right now, and some that are pregnant and they have a baby. What should I do? How can I convince them to stay if they've got to have their family on their insurance knowing that it's that much? And people taking it personal in our agency, outside of our agency, I'm sorry, it was never personal on anything with me. I'm just here to try to fight because it might be my son one day standing in my position, and I hope he's got more to hang his hat on when it comes to retirement versus being 40 years old and starting over. But I beg and plead, the people who are still here, stay here. I still believe great things are to come, and if we hammer down and we work together, we've accomplished tons, and it's so disheartening to see a lot of that try to be ripped apart, and there's no need in it. But I hope everybody can hang on, stick it out, and as far as everybody else in this room, keep on it. Like, it's good. Go back and forth. Nobody has to agree, but please leave us in our own little territory and out of all the other back and forth, and let's work to make this the best that it can be.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. All right. Ms. Brame,
mind?
yeah, then we'll wrap it on up.
Chairman
Okay.
Burton. I keep telling, I'm Pam Brame, I'm the HR director for the county. And, oh, sorry, not used to this. And I'm not in the bathroom this time, thank you. And Kim's been wanting to speak for a while, but I do want to tell you, and I'm speaking to the employees, We have been working with your fire and EMS, HR department, and finance department to make this successful. No matter how it came about, and I'm not political, I'm an HR director, I think of people, okay? We have been working as a partnership, finance, HR, to make this as good of a merger as we can make it. So let me assure you, as the county HR director, with the board behind me, because I get my direction from the board, that nobody's going to lose their job. We want to keep you. We are looking at your salaries because we have to fit your salaries on our current pay plan. So every one of you, based on what we have seen so far, is going to get a raise by the time you get on our pay plan. We do COLA every year, July 1st. Every year we look at COLA. Everybody gets a COLA July 1st. In our current policy, everybody moves a step on our pay plan because we're trying to deal with salary compression, because we want to recruit and retain our employees. So every year, everybody that has been there over a year gets to move up a step in our pay plan. We do market studies all the time. In fact, we're getting ready to do a market study on every county position in the county to make sure that we're paying them accordingly with the current market. That's one of the projects the county commissioners has given HR. So yes, we're going to look at your salaries. We'll make sure they're competitive. Okay? Insurance. Yes, we're on the state health plan. We have no control over that. It is now the premium is based on your salary. Have no control over the state health plan. But it is your family coverage, and I think some of the other coverages were cheaper than what you currently do. But speaking with the HR department of your fire and EMS, your vision and your dental is a little cheaper than ours, okay? But some of our benefits are a little bit richer than you currently have, okay? So you get some give and take on that, okay? Our benefit book is on our website. You're welcome to look at it. You're welcome to come see us. We'll be glad to show you what we have. Our policy book is on our website. The commissioners, the thing that they did this year is when we adopted the policy book, it was to retain and recruit employees. That was the aim. So they were very generous. I don't know if you've looked, but we have a tuition reimbursement plan. Set up to $7,500 a year for you to go to school. Then we have, if you get a master's, a bachelor's or associate's, you get a salary increase because they want to encourage you for career growth, to move up. We have bereavement now. We have followed the state Governor Cooper's thing. So if you have an immediate family member that passes, you can get 40 hours of bereavement. It doesn't take leave off from you. If a coworker passes, you can go to a coworker's funeral for 8 hours that the county provides you. We have, what am I missing, Kim?
Speak to them about their holidays.
The holidays. I think 8 holidays, is that right? 6? We got 15. We get 15, and all of you take advantage of it because you're a county employee. You get 15 holidays. Career development, that's another project we've got. We're working with every department now to create a career development plan or a certification plan where employees, county employees, get salary increases for attaining certifications to better for their growth in their positions. Did I remember everything else?
Local
anyway,
government.
there's a lot of good things that are coming if you would just give us time to get this to occur.
Speak with them about their local government retirement plan.
Local retirement government, oh yeah, thank you. So, the county, the state tells the county how much to put in your local government retirement plan. We do take 6% of your salary. That's by law. That's not a county law, that's a state law. But they put that in, and even if you don't make 30 years, you still can retire by age, like myself, because I ain't gonna make 30 years. You only had to be vested for 5 years. And depending on your age, you could go out with less than 30, because that's what Pam's doing. Because I don't look as old as I am, but we're just going to not go there. And then the county also, thank you, Chairman Burton, they put 2.5% in your 401k. You don't have to put anything in a 401k, but the county's going to put 2.5% of your salary in a 401k for you every pay period.
And if you currently have one now, if you're not in their deferred retirement plan after 2019, which I doubt any of you are in that, you can roll right over to the county, to the 401k, 403b, or whatever they have.
But I say all this because I want to encourage you to stay. There is a lot that is coming your way. Kim is very into wellness. She did the wellness fair. I think she invited everybody to come to her wellness fair. We're an open door. People come see us all the time. We sit down and talk with people. So I want to encourage you to stay. And this talk of making it go longer, I get it, I guess. But my opinion is if we continue to make it longer and longer, you'll lose more of you. I mean, we're already losing a bunch of you because of the uncertainty, right? You don't know what's going to happen. If we drag this out, I think I'm going to lose more of you. I don't want to lose you because I don't want to have to hire more of you. You get it? I want you to stay. It's less work on my department. So I just want to throw that out at you guys. And I want you to encourage your friends, your families, your coworkers, that good is coming. And I'm not saying it's bad where you are right now, but you're going to be able to take advantage of a lot of county benefits that you don't have the opportunity to right now, right?
Ms. Brame, I think the gentleman has a question there.
Yes. Oh, you want that? There, sorry.
No, you're fine. You're fine. I'll come to you. How about that, okay? So my name is Brett Addy. I'm a captain in the training division with Pender EMS and Fire, and I've been here almost 14 years. And so more of us than is readily visible are in the defined benefits. So thank you very much for the information. When this thing let loose and we kicked that wheel chalk out and this snowball started rolling down to a very hot room, things kind of got lost. In my opinion, and everyone behind me in this uniform can probably tell you, and they might do it with their smiles. I generally say what I feel. And so we're on the ride. And for us, for those of us that have a voice, that want to be seen, not heard, and do things in a controlled manner, it feels like Mr. Toad's Wild Ride. And I don't mean that to put a damper on any of this, but we're scared. We want those benefits. We want to know that we're going to be safe. I have concerns. But to discount or decrease what we've done and what we've made, it puts a bad taste in my mouth. And saying things like, we will have a great department. We already do. Is it going to get better? Man, we all hope so. Yes, there are some of us that are confused. We don't know where this is going. And that's terrifying. I'm 45. I've done multiple things in my life. I've always wanted to do this. And I think I'm kind of good at it. Could I get better? Absolutely. Do I know everything? No, because if I did, I should probably go to the house because I'm going to get someone hurt. And so I worry when we say things like, I don't know. I worry when we say things like, we don't have those numbers yet. I worry when we bring up a department that is running 2 on a truck when NFPA 1710 says minimum staffing is 4. I worry when we say they're leaving for this and they're leaving for that. What are we doing to fix this and that? I worry that a job is about to get posted and the top end is $23,000 more a year than what I'm doing right now. My wife's family has been in this county for hundreds of years. It's one of the main reasons why I came here. It's one of the main reasons why I love serving this community. I think it would benefit us to have that clarity and those conversations, and I beg and plead we move up the employee meetings sooner, faster. Yes, every citizen in this county is important. That's why we signed the dotted line. But if we don't know, if we have these concerns, and not all of us are educated on the ability to roll in what you can't roll in. Yes, I understand that for a family plan, they're going to save a big chunk of change. But if my money demographic at $802 every month for a husband and a spouse, which is your new one, right, for the 80-20, it's going to save me $98 with health, dental, and vision. That's it. That's it for me. That's what it saved me, $98. There's a bad taste. It tastes funky, and I don't know how to get around it. I'm not scared of talking. I got a division chief here. My boss is in the corner. Just some of the way we talk to each other and we interact with each other, man, God bless y'all for getting this and getting left with it and getting hung out to dry and being told you're answering questions that you shouldn't be answering. At least you're answering them. At least it's giving clarity. And if I'm seeing this,
on the outside looking in. And I'm feeling this on the inside looking out. I can only imagine how some of these kids that I've been working with since they were 17, 18 years old feel. This is all they've known. And to belittle that, it stinks. We like to say it smells like hot garbage because everyone knows what that smells like. So please, these are people's lives. This is livelihood. I know it's money and numbers on a column. This is years of our life. We got people leaving for a multitude of reasons. And you would leave and go do something else if you could make more money and save money. I ain't mad at them at all. But if we don't do something, if we don't get more money, if we don't get things for retention, shoot fire, bring us over now, make us employees. If we're going to stall on the logistics of it all, but get us in the system. Because if we're rolling back and rolling back and rolling back, we're losing time. Now I'm 46. Now I'm 47. Now I'm 73. Now I'm 74. Now I'm 75. Now I'm 76. And all I'm doing is work to be able to afford this life. This is the reality of it. This is livelihood. And so, yes, I love the fact that you have all these plans. And I love the fact that you're setting things up for us for career progression. The men and women of this job will do it. They're constantly wanting training. We're constantly doing things. We're constantly gaining certifications. The hours required specifically for our EMS Con Ed, which guess what? Everyone in this room that has this uniform on at least is an EMT. That's 80 hours by the state. Go to an A, it's more, it's 100. Go to a P, it's more. I know this because I'm an EMS instructor as well. Because you see, we do both sides of the fence. It's two divisions with one mission. When you call 911, you want us all to fix it. How do you expect us to stick around and wait for y'all to fix this? I don't care where we were. I care about where we are. And I care and I'm scared of where we're going. And so you asked where we were. Here we are. You said for the two aren't here, that you're going to look out for us. Do it. I tell the men and women that come in and we train them. We've got a couple in here right now. Do better. Mr. Pagano, do better or there's the door, correct? Yes, sir. Did you do better? Yes, sir. Look at you now, young man. And so I challenge you, do better. I'm rough around the edges. This is me at a 2. True statement? but I will never lie to you. Good, bad, and different. So do better. You said it. It's on the record. Now we're in it. The snowball's rolling. Ante up. So move us. If we're going to move quick, let's move quick. Let's do it. Don't linger. Don't dilly-dally. Nothing's going to get finer than frog hair, as my old man used to say. But we're harder than woodpecker lips, another his saying. If we know where you're going, if we know where we're going, if we know where we're going to end up, then it gives us a light at the end of the tunnel. Right now, that tunnel has no light because there is no clarity. There are broken promises, agreements written on napkins that just got wet. And so here I am, my name, full display, immortalized on YouTube.
There you go.
And I hope that I have done you well. I hope that I have done you well. Because at the end of the day, we all care about each other. And we all care about this county and its citizens. Because trust me, at 3 a.m. at Ward's Corner doing ambulance yoga, or sitting on standby and waiting for a deputy that's coming 20 minutes because we don't have enough and there is a family member getting stabbed, we all know it's getting worse. Or when we get off a rig and we're trying to put a fire out, but we're having to call for additional and call for additional and call for additional because we don't have enough and we're all tired. We would like a light at the end of the tunnel.
And Chairman Burton, he said that very well.
He did.
And I think the group that has been trying to put this together really does care and wants you to stay. Meg, Sarah, me, Kim, all the other group department heads have been trying to put this plan together. And we do want you to stay, and we do care about you and your families. And you said that very nicely just then. So we're doing all we can do to make this successful and to help you guys.
Yep.
I truly hope you know that. And like I said, you're always welcome to come see us. We are working together with your HR and finance department to make this a successful merge.
That light at the end of the tunnel is going to get even brighter.
Let's go.
It is. And I appreciate everybody coming out tonight. Thank you guys, you gals, ladies and gentlemen, to come out. It's getting a little late, so we need to go ahead and wrap this up.
Okay. Yeah, I did.
Yep, Ms. Ramsey.
Hi. I'm Nancy Ramsey, and I'm not a lifelong resident, but my husband is, and his whole family is. And I don't want to change the way we live here, because I love it here. I have a problem with what they're talking about when they talk about the bond issues. How many here would vote for a bond to find out later they could spend the money on whatever they want because they didn't put what they told you were getting in it? So basically what he said was, well, you were told you were going to get this school stuff and you were going to get this county maintenance building, but we didn't write it like that. And it might not have been him, and it's not the point. The point is, if they can write it however they want and spend the money however they want, then I'm not going to ever vote for another bond issue in this county, because I'm not getting what you're promising me, what they're promising me I'm getting. And I see more bond issues coming, I do. And I know my taxes are going to go up. The tax rate might not be going up, but my property values are, and however they were overinflated because of the hurricanes, my property value did not double, but because so many people lost their homes in the floods and the hurricanes, everybody needed a house that wasn't available. So we reevaluated. My taxes,
went up a couple of years ago because they evaluated. Well, we've reevaluated again, my taxes are fixing to go up again, and I know they can say that maybe it'll go down, but property values are not gonna drop. They're not gonna drop. And so my problem is, I'm not voting for another bond issue unless they can specifically tell me in that bond and write it the way it's supposed to be written, where what we are paying for, my taxpayer dollars, your taxpayer dollars, is what's been promised in that bond. Because I don't believe that we had it, and I don't believe that once a bond issue is done, I was always told that that percentage will drop off when that bill's paid. It will never drop off. It has never gone down. So we're continuously paying this upper tax for a bond that the money's already been spent. But we did not get what we were promised that we were going to get. If you go to the Topsail schools and you go to the Burgos schools, we are embarrassing. My kids did not get what they should have gotten in these schools because all the money has gone to the other side of the county. Their schools are beautiful. Their fields, their ball fields are beautiful. Our schools were built how many years ago? How many improvements have been done on them? It's just, I have paid, I'm not from Burgaw, I'm not from North Carolina. I was born in New York. My whole family's in California. I have paid more taxes in this state in the last 10 years than I ever paid in California. And I made double the money over there. I pay more taxes here for everything I own than I ever paid in California. My federal tax bill's been higher. My state tax bill has been $4,000 or more every year that I park my butt here. I don't earn money here, but I still pay taxes on the money that I'm given from the state I did work in. So I pay more to park my butt in this state than I ever paid in California. And it's not looking like any of that's going to go down, because what we're hearing is all the money's been spent and it did not go where it was going. So now we need a new bond issue. We need more money. We need more taxes, because that building still needs to be built. That maintenance building still needs to be done. The improvements to the schools still need to be done on this side of the county. So I know that I will not ever vote yes on another bond issue in this county, knowing that my money is not going to be spent where they're promising me it's going. Because I would pay it to give a pay raise to emergency services. I would do a bond issue. I'd pay a bond issue for that in a minute. The money would never get there, because there would be something else that came up with the population of the county, with needing, the sheriff's department needs 20 new vehicles because they keep wrecking them. It doesn't go where it's supposed to go. So that never should be an issue. We pay enough taxes in this county and for everything we own that this money shouldn't even have been an issue. It shouldn't have been an issue. And y'all don't make enough money. I mean, I did not come here to work when my husband and I got together because I couldn't take the pay cut. And I was new on my department. I wasn't vested. I didn't have 5 years. But I couldn't take the pay cut to come here. So y'all, it's pitiful what y'all are making and how you're supposed to be supporting your families. And you can't come to these, would I come to a meeting after working 100 hours that I shouldn't have been working? Hell no, I would not. Because my family time has got to be more important than my children and my responsibilities. So I don't hold that against any one of these people here that is not here because they work too much, because they're working too much, because they're not getting enough time, because they have to do other things, maybe even have another job. But the time has to come that if you can't promise, if my money is not going where it's supposed to be going, I probably wouldn't even be in this state if my husband wasn't here, because of the amount of money that I'm already paying for services that I'm not getting. So, I mean, that's my opinion. If everybody knows, if you thought for 1 second that multi-million-dollar bond was not going to go where it was supposed to go, would you have voted yes on it? And it would not have passed. So people need to be, that's the people in the county. If anybody was watching YouTube, they need to know that money did not go where it was supposed to go. You voted yes in good faith, and you got stepped on. So
Thank you, Ms. Ramsey.
All right, I'm only going to take 30 seconds.
All right. Yes, sir.
Typical tax bill. I just, on the way here, picked up a county tax bill.
Yes, sir.
It's just for a boat that I have that hadn't even been in the water this year. The county tax was $23. All the fire district, the county EMS, fire, all that stuff, $23 for taxes. The total bill is $32, almost $10 more in the county fire and EMS and various taxes like that.
Yep.
So tax rate, what you're paying, don't cover all of it, because when you raise the other taxes, which I understand need to be done, fire and EMS, this is almost a third of the bill.
Yeah. Yeah, we all get those. All right. Well, thank you, everybody. Got one more? Okay. Yes, ma'am.
Two things
You need to
that I
get you
didn't-
need to go home and get some rest.
You're right, I have to be at work in the morning.
I'm
For
lying.
a
I ain't lying.
24-hour shift.
So, I mean, no, seriously, what you said earlier, though, seriously, I'm really concerned for your safety. When you work 48 straight hours, taking care of patients and making decisions, that's scary.
Well,
and you need
in all
your
fairness,
rest.
We
You
do
need your
get
rest.
to take naps in between calls.
Yeah,
when we're
but
working 24s or
I know
whatnot,
there's
when we can.
I don't want to get into FLSA, but there's some issue there if somebody makes you work 48 straight hours.
Well, this weekend was the 36. I worked 48 total over the weekend. It was
Okay.
36, so
I
not
wanna look
48
into that a little
time.
further.
But there was two things that I did not address earlier that Captain just addressed one of
Yeah,
them.
please do. Yeah.
Very great, very nicely for us, is the town hall meetings need to happen with the employees sooner rather than later.
Sure.
But the other thing that I wanted to ask or inquire about is at the Commissioners Board meeting this past Monday, it was brought up by Chief Haraway with the incentive and retention plan.
Yes, ma'am.
And one thing that was brought up on the commissioner's behalf, their questions about it, was how would it be fair to give raises to Pender EMS and Fire, and then when we come over to county, the potential of us making more than our counterparts at county would be making. And I've actually spoke to a few people to clarify, to make sure I understood correctly, that pay raise, one, would be just for boots on the ground. These guys in here in uniform with me, those of us who get on a truck every day, not our admin people, not our logistics, not our IT. Currently, unless I've completely missed it over my last 47 years on earth, Pender County does not have counterparts to us.
No, they don't.
There is no
You are correct.
firefighters.
You are correct.
No paramedics, no EMS.
You will be the counterpart.
Correct. So giving us that raise ahead of the merger is not going to affect our counterparts at county.
No.
My understanding from doing my research is that that raise that is being asked for is 50% approximately of what come July we would be getting anyway. So in 9 months, we would be getting twice as much as what they're asking for now, which would mean that if you give us 50% of it now to help retention, to help offset some of the stress, come July, you would be giving us the other 50%. So we're not getting any additional than what you are already anticipating giving us come July. You're just giving it to us a little bit ahead of time to help keep those people who are going to. One of my coworkers left, and she's told people, I'm not speaking out of turn, she went part-time with us and went to Onslow County full-time because they're paying her $4 and some odd cents more an hour
Sure.
to do the same job she was doing here.
Yes, ma'am.
So you're not paying us anything additional from what you anticipate paying us in 9 months.
So I'll send you home with this comment just on my behalf as one commissioner. It'll take 3 of us. That's been brought up tonight. Monday night, we're gonna speak about that issue. I don't think there's a citizen in this county that will not support my support for you in retaining you and paying you what you're worth in your benefits and your salary. That's where I stand, and that's where I will stand Monday night, and that's memorialized on record now. And if any citizen that watches this or any citizen in this audience is against me supporting those employees, getting what they're worth, speak with me anytime you want. But that's where I stand. And you got that tonight. See, you got a little something before Monday night from me. So I fully support the men and women of EMS and fire and law enforcement because I've done your job. I've been there. I was riding an ambulance in 1984. So before some of y'all were born. Yeah. So, and she's going to get it. She'll get my vote. I don't know about the other 4 because I'm not going to speak for the other commissioners, but you have my support moving forward. And come July, you're going to have my support in that light at the end of the tunnel that the captain was speaking about. It's going to be brighter. And I think we're going to have a great future with fire rescue in Pender County. I do.
Well, I appreciate your support, and as you said, it is on video, it's on
It is.
YouTube, whatever. And as our
Yep.
captain said earlier, we're going to hold you guys to these promises.
Yep.
We work hard for you and our families, and we're going to hold you guys to these promises.
And that does
I
not
appreciate
go,
the
that does
answers.
not go unappreciated, I can tell you. It doesn't. So thank you for that. And thank you, everyone. Appreciate it. Tomorrow night in Pender Lee, I think, is the next town hall meeting. Thank you.